All right, our Photoshop project for today is about creating Chromebook wallpaper, and this is just the Photoshop part of it. If you're working from home, you have to have already connected to the remote server, and you'll want to connect to Google File Stream so that you can save your work on your Google Drive easily. But here's the part about the Photoshop project. The big thing here is size. If you're going to make wallpaper for a Chromebook, 1920 by 1080 works pretty well. So when you start in Photoshop, make the document that size. And I'm not looking for any certain thing. One of the big differences between a YouTube channel art that we did in the previous assignment and this one is that this just has to kind of look decent. It can be a geometric design. It can just kind of, it could have a theme to it if you wanted it to, but you just have to design something that looks kind of decent. And I do want to see a little effort, right? Put a little effort and thought into what you do. It's a wallpaper. It's a background for a computer. So let's see what you can come up with. We're going to be looking for, some use of some Photoshop options and skills. Use what you know. Here's your size of your document right here on this handout, which is posted on Google Classroom, designed for the entire area. You can use the whole screen. It's not like a channel art, a YouTube channel art thing where you have to kind of keep it in certain spaces. You can, I'm going to make a little change right there. You can just try to make it look halfway decent. All right, so you're going to save it, and then if you ever really want to use this as a wallpaper, you have to export it as a Jpeg, which I'll show you where that is here in just a moment. All right, so let's hop over to Photoshop and take a look. Here's an example. I did this one, and this is kind of what I'm going to work on in my demo here, something like this. There are a couple of things I want to show you. This is not all that difficult, but I think it looks decent, right? So I'm going to go ahead and close that. So you would start off with new, and then over here on the width and the height and the resolution, you want 1920 by 1080, 72 for the resolution, and turn off the artboards. I think it helps to turn off the artboards. Okay, so I'm going to go 1920, 1080, 72, and turn off the artboards and hit create. Cool. Now I'm going to, this is where you make all kinds of personal decisions here. I'm going to bring over like a navy blue swatch and drop it on there, and that's giving me a navy blue background. Okay, yay. Or did I want a red background? I might want a red background. All right, I'll do that. Make it red instead of blue. Well, now I'm not telling you to do that. I'm saying that's what I want. Now I found a copy. I just did a Google image search for the Plainfield Shield, right? The red Pride Shield. I just did a Google image search for it and I found it. So I saved it, and so I'm going to take that and select it. I'm pretty sure this is a PNG with a transparent background. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to bring it over here and paste it. I'm going to transform it because it's a little big, and just get that kind of size down the way I want it. I'm going to want that to sit like right over here. And remember things like I could come along here and say, well, okay, I'm going to add, maybe I'll add a stroke around that. And my stroke is going to be a little bit bigger, and my stroke is going to be, I'm going to match that blue that is in the shield, and I'll click OK there. So I've added a little stroke effect on that. Now I'm going to do something next that I don't know if we've really done this in class, but I'm using things that we know. I'm going to create a new layer with the new layer button. I'm going to take the rectangular selector and just make a selection. It doesn't matter a whole lot how big it is right now. I'm going to take the paintbrush here, and for the color I'm going to click here, and I'm going to make I want the blue to match the shield. So I'm using the color picker, and I'm matching the shield, and I'll click OK, so that my paintbrush is going to be that color now, which is what I wanted. And I'm just going to paint this thing blue. And then I'm going to do a deselect. All right, I don't want it selected anymore. Now watch. Here's what I'm going to do with that. I'm going to do Control-T transform. I'm going to hold down my Control key, and when I hold down my Control key, I can grab these anchors, like these corners here, and I could kind of pull them around individually. I want to create a situation kind of like that, where I have part of this document looking like it's blue, but I want it slanted. And it doesn't matter about the part that's sticking outside of the edge. I don't really care about that. It's okay. It's totally fine. All right, I might bring this over just a little bit more, kind of like that, and hit the check mark. So see, you see what I've got so far. All right, now on that blue layer where I just did that, I'm going to add a drop shadow. And yet, again, don't think you have to do everything like me. I'm doing stuff because this is what I want to do, right? You do your own thing. All right, I'm going to play with that drop shadow a little bit. Okay, good, yes. The last thing I'm going to add to this is a little bit of type. But, you know, I don't know if you're going to have a type layer or not. Mine's going to say PCMS. Oh, it's doing that whole glyph thing on me again. PCMS, that's better. Hit the check mark. Guess what? It's not showing up right now because it's blue. So I'm just going to change it to a different color. I'll do Control-T transform. I'm going to make that bigger. And what I'm going to do with this is rotate it. I'm using the transform tool. I went a little too far there. I wanted to go like that. And I'm just going to make it go vertical like that. And really, you know, I could come along here and add some other things. What font did I use there? Just so you know, it's called Industry Ink. I could add a stroke to that if I wanted to, right? But in this case, a blue stroke doesn't even show up, so maybe a red stroke around that. What do you think? Huh? Not quite so big on the lettering. Tone that stroke down some. And gosh, I'm getting carried away. I'm sorry, I always get carried away. I could add a drop shadow on that text. I don't think that looks terrible. All right, so there, I just made a wallpaper, right? It's 1920 by 1080. I put the things on there I wanted to put on there. I don't think it's terrible. Okay, now what if, you know, you would have to save it. You do a file and a save as and save on your computer and go through the whole thing of, I'll say PCMS demo. All right, so you got to turn it in, right? So you got to save it. But what if you really do want to use it as a wallpaper for your Chromebook? Well, a Photoshop file is not going to work. So here's what you would have to do. You go File, Export, and you could do it as a PNG. That would work. You could do this thing that says Quick Export as PNG. That would work. It would be okay. Or you could do Export As. Now, if you're working from home, then what you're going to want to do is when I'm going to set this on JPEG, right? I could have done a PNG, but I'm going to set this on JPEG, a JPEG image, and I'll leave the quality at 100%, and I hit export, and now it's asking me where do you want to save it. Well, this is the part where if you have connected to Google File Stream, you can pick your Google Drive. It would be Drive G. You can pick your Google Drive right off of this panel on the side. You'll find Drive G would be your Google Drive. That's what I would do if I were you. Save it there, give it a name, save it, and then that's going to make a JPEG copy of this wallpaper, which you would be able to download on your Chromebook and set as wallpaper. Yay. Okay, that's it. That's the end of demo. We'll give that a shot today. You can email me if you have questions.